Holy cow, this tank is amazing in World of Tanks console. It is the Batchat 25T finally. After 7.5 years of playing World of Tanks console, I have finally managed to pick up the Batchat 25T, and it is really good. And today's replay is going to showcase two different gameplays, and of course we're going to see how this tank actually fares. I played about 10 games in the Batchat 25T, all of which I managed to get an average combined damage of like 5.8 thousand damage, so that's both assistance and actual damage. I think I averaged about 4,000 damage in this thing, and both of these replays are the best of the bunch, I guess, in terms of how much damage and also assistance I've done. And I tried to find the best of both worlds, where we managed to get damage and also assistance, and this is certainly the best of both. So the key thing about the Batchat 25T is a little rundown for you, is that it is the tier 10 medium that is the autoloader. So of course, as you can see on the screen, if you've got eyes, of course, that it has a 5-shot autoloader. It also has 390 damage per shell, so really nice. In fact, it's not necessarily 5 shells, because it does have an additional autoloader that has 300 alpha damage, and so you can choose between the two. Now, I would much rather have the alpha damage, since you can quickly get out the rounds within a period of time, whilst also not having to expose yourself as much, because remember, the Batchat 25T is not a tank that you want to be getting kind of caught out in, because it doesn't have any armor, to be honest with you. And so it can be a little bit annoying to come up against. Now, this match is actually showcasing us going pretty aggressive in the Batchat. Now, I had no idea how this tank was going to perform in an aggressive playstyle, and it actually worked out really well, and I definitely didn't think that it would do as well as I did manage to have in this game. But you can see here, it's a weird kind of map rotation or map selection, I guess, in terms of it having the encounter battle, so it's slightly different to your traditional standard battle that you get on World of Tanks. So I thought, you know what, I want to make sure that we don't lose to Cap, because I've been losing to Cap a whole lot recently, and I find it very frustrating. So making sure that I'm paced quite close to it is also really nice. So you're seeing here the Panzer 58 Mutz, who's put himself in a bit of a bad spot in terms of pushing, and of course from full health we've taken him down to 0. No point in reloading or having just one shell in the magazine, so I just park up ready for potentially reloading, and if I get taken out at this point, you know, at least we've taken out one tank and got ourselves a bit of assistance, so it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, since we took a ton of hits at the beginning, which wasn't ideal, and I certainly wasn't hoping to do that. But yeah, in these sorts of games where even if maybe things go badly, you can still come out with a good result. So what we do is just get up into this little spot. Now, I was hoping that the projector would remain spotted. Unfortunately, that's not the case, so we're just going to have to wait here and hope that he does finally get spotted. Maybe if he fires at the light tank, we'll be able to spot him ourselves. I'm not entirely sure. And also, I was a little bit scared of the T49 that was on the enemy team. Now, didn't really need to be scared of him, since you can see here the Progetto is indeed out in the open, and we're just ploughing rounds into him, hoping to retract the opponent, but unfortunately that isn't the case, and we don't even manage to pen that final shot. So a whole new mag is going to be required, and with a 34-second reload, when you're not using your enhanced combat rations like actually active, is approximately what you have. So you have to make your shots count, and of course in this sort of matchup where you've got a lot of people that could YOLO you, potentially a lot of autoloaders on the enemy team in the Progetto and the Rinoceronte that we saw at the beginning, who's of course pushed up quite heavily, and now he's decided that for some reason he's going to YOLO over this way. Have no idea what he was thinking, but of course our team is actually sat at the back and can hit people for some reason, which is yeah, surprising. But either way, we find the Progetto out in the open. Some bad aim here by me. I should have been going for the lower plate all of the time. We finally connect one to the lower plate and finish him off through the drive wheel for the final shot. And of course, as with only one shell in the clip and no real opponents nearby, it's time to reload the full clip. And although it may only be 2 shells, because once again the clip's not actually looking at how many shells he's got left, ending up reloading only 2 rounds. So we managed to spot the enemy T95E3 who's up on the hill, the tier 10 American medium, and at this point I'm just hoping that we can get some assistance damage from him, who's just sat up there. Now, so far, to no joy, but maybe we can spot him again, hence cresting the ridge and that sort of thing. Now, the game isn't an easy win so far, or at least maybe it doesn't look like an easy win, since there is still 6 tanks on the enemy team. We have no idea how much hit points the majority of them are on, other than that T95, who was pretty healthy when he started the engagement against our team. The Conway over there, we find out that he's on a one-shot, and also there is a Sturmtiger P somewhere kicking around doing some business. So we want to try and find all of them, and hopefully when fully reloaded we're going to be able to farm someone else within this game. So far, 8,000 combined damage. If you were going for marks of excellence, this would be a good one. You'd probably go up by maybe 0.5% at the kind of 90% mark, or somewhere in that region, of course, if you are grinding out. Now, I'm not trying to grind out to 3 marks, but the early percentages, if we can have some good games, it's just going to help out if I ever do decide to go for 3 marks. And I've kind of made a pledge that after we finally unlock all tier 10 World War II tanks, then we'll start the 3 mark grind of all tier 5s, and then all tier 6s, and then all tier 7s, and so on, until we finally 3 mark them all, potentially. Now, I don't know whether that's going to happen anytime soon, but fingers crossed we can grind through the last couple tier 10s. But you can see there we finish off the Conway, not the Cronway, and of course there is just the artillery piece, and unfortunately for us he's nowhere for us to actually be able to hit him, which is a bit unfortunate, since it would have been nice to get an additional little bit of damage to boost up this game. But either way, you know, a very, very solid result. The EOS even 90 just YOLOing into him and clipping out the artillery for the rest of his hit points. And there you go, a brilliant result in the Batch at 25T, especially considering the early kind of inbound damage that we took, with like nearly 1,200 hit points worth of damage taken straight away almost. But either way, yeah, really good result to pull it out of the bag, and also picking up a ton of silver as well, because I was running ×2 silver boost just to earn a little bit of money alongside. But there you go, really good game. Let's jump into the next one and showcase maybe something else about the Batch at 25T. Moving swiftly in, we have the next gameplay, and this is of course on Tietval Ridge, and probably one of my more favoured maps for if I'm playing a medium tank, since it's quite open. You can utilise the terrain, especially if you have gun depression. Unfortunately, the Batch at 25T doesn't have a ton, but it has enough to work a lot of ridge lines, and because it's quite low profile and kind of semi-flexible in terms of how you can angle your tank and that sort of stuff, you can still make it work really easily on this map. Maybe not so much on Westfield or something like that, just due to the elevation, because this is a French tank after all, and apparently they don't look up at all. So yeah, you have problems with the elevation on all of the French tanks, to be honest. Now, I'm coming over into the left-hand side using the really good mobility of the Batch at 25T. You can go 65 kilometers an hour, which makes it one of the fastest mediums in the game. So it's a shoot and scooter, and of course we're getting into this position to try and get some early damage or early spotting damage on some people who are going to be progressing. So we land one on the IS-7, hopefully land a second, which we do, and then we go for a third, which we only track damage, but we may as well fire the fourth or the fifth even, and of course we get out of the way of the returning shot from the IS-7 trying to blind fire back at us. Now, 800 damage, that's not particularly the best clip in the world, but we're not going to complain all too much, since we did manage to spot and we found out a little bit about where the opponents are going, etc. Doesn't appear like there's a ton of opponents over on this side, so we're going to now progress over towards the Atomic, since that would be a nice 1,000 damage if we can somehow catch him out. Now, fully reloading, waiting a little bit, just double checking where the Atomic is aiming, and we plough one into the side of his turret, try and go for one into the turret or the cupola, but we don't manage to pen it, and I'm not going to go for the IS-7 anymore. So we know the Atomic is on 670 hit points, means we have to hit him twice. Of course, with 3 shells in the magazine and coming up from the back side of him, I would be very, very surprised if we did not manage to actually take him out. He turns side on, making it easier and easier for us to hit him, and we take the reload, making sure not to just have one in the clip when we come up against someone else. So there's something you can always use. Unfortunately for us, the Turan then spots us and is aiming at us, and we really don't want to take 1,000 damage hit, so we managed to evade it just luckily, and of course getting up into this position, which provides a little bit of cover since opponents have to like literally YOLO you if they want to get you dug out of this sort of position. So a nice one. We do spot an opponent, which is the SU-130PM by the looks of it, and so now it's a 12 on 13 battle, so we're down one tank, but we don't know about the hit points and how many each team have. That would be a nice feature if Wargaming could add it. I know PC have the hit points actually shown within the game, so you can see how many hit points are on each team rather than just how many tanks are on each team. We do manage to finish off the Tyrann, and that was really important because that tank can be an absolute nuisance if he does get left alive, because 1,000 alpha pretty much consistently is really bad for our team. So yeah, now that he's out of the game, it's very nice. Now we're trying to blind fire the Grilla here, just trying to connect a shot potentially, since we've got nothing else to shoot at, and we're kind of getting up into this position. We're going to get into the bush and then hopefully pre-fire again, see if the Grilla is actually still there. Apparently hit the house in that one, but yeah, not so far any successful penetrations on the Grilla, which is a bit disappointing, but nonetheless we can move over to the left hand side and push up the hill again and then hopefully spot someone else. Now, one thing to note, if you're in this sort of position, you do have to be very careful of the position where the Grilla was. Whether it's just a Grilla, I'm not entirely sure, so we have no idea. There could be more tanks back there, and when I'm on 1,100 hit points, a Grilla hit and another hit, that I'm going to be out of the game. So I don't want to get spotted up here, hence why I'm not just YOLOing down after the IS-7. If it was a normal game, and there wasn't a Grilla and there wasn't another TD that I don't know about, since the other one was spotted on the other flank, I'd probably go down and try and clip out the IS-7, but because there is a Grilla still alive in the game, I'm a bit hesitant to do that, since I don't want to get taken out, especially considering we've only done 2,000 damage so far. Now, Grilla gets spotted, finally. Great news. Hit him once, we actually track him. For some reason he comes back up the slope, and then we hit him a third time. So yes, great result. Not only did we get some tracking assist, but we also got some 3 hits of damage. There is also an IS-7 who's pushing one of our teammates over here, and we managed to hit him from behind. We fully aim into the back of him. I don't want my teammate getting taken out, and now we take a full reload. Now, SU-130PM looking over at us. I don't want to take a hit. Let's just get out of the vision range and get into this sort of position. We remain undetected now, and the King Tiger can no longer hit us since he's back in the garage. So SU-130 gets YOLO'd by both the one of our teammates and also the Barask on our team, and the SU just now tries to run and attack him. Unfortunately for the SU, it will be curtains in literally 1 second. Goodbye. There he is, out of the game, and 4,000 damage picked up so far. We do only have 164 assistance in this game, so not particularly the greatest assistance damage, and this one can certainly be a damage dealer role if needs be, and you can see that in this replay where we've been able to just pile out damage as well as hopefully spot for our team. Whether your team actually hit the people you spot, it doesn't really matter, because it gives at least you the ability to decide on where to go next with the game, and yeah, just decide what you want to do. So that's what I was aiming for in the back chat, playing kind of an aggressive scout medium that also does a ton of damage. So we're now kind of coming to the end or the twilight of the game, and of course the video, so we're going to push forward and try and find some other people. But for those of you that haven't actually subscribed to the channel, I would highly recommend you do, since you'll keep up to date with loads of different tanks, and hopefully you guys actually enjoy the content. If you don't enjoy it, definitely don't subscribe, but hopefully you enjoy the content and you feel free like joining. But you can see, hopefully, the Batchat 25T can reward me with just 2 more shells into the M103. Then we find the Object 780, who is on a decent chunk of hit points. For some reason, I aim for the upper plate. I wasn't sure whether it's paper, but we go for the lower plate in the final shell and actually set him on fire. So that is the end of the amount of damage we're going to be able to deal in this game, since 30 seconds with pretty much the entire team closing down on him, it's very unlikely we're going to be able to deal any more damage. So it's just a case of waiting it out. I love seeing the Object 268 version 4 going YOLOing in to try and ram him, which is always funny, and of course he does in spectacular fashion. We try and then jump on him maybe, but yeah, don't quite get there in time, and yeah, 5,324 damage done. Certainly not the best game that I've had, but yeah, really good one. Fromage Frey is the commander, and yeah, hopefully you did enjoy this video. If you want to check out any more, please feel free to check out the playlist on the right hand side, which has all of the gameplay and tank reviews, and on the left hand side, the most recent French vehicle, which is the Foch 155 at tier 10 as well. So thank you, and goodbye.